study advice was designed for people with 8 hours a day to study. You maybe have one on a good day. You ever come home after a long day and you sat down to study and then you just stared at your screen instead? And then you tell yourself, okay, I'm gonna take a 10-minute break. And then the 10-minute break becomes an hour, and then the hour becomes 2. And then have you ever wondered, why even start at this point? I'm just gonna watch Netflix. So then you don't study. And then the next day it's even harder because now you feel guilty about yesterday. If you don't know me, I'm Alec Palmerton. I have ADHD, I'm not a genius, and I am embarrassingly addicted to my phone. But I also passed 7 major board examinations throughout my time at Stanford Medical School and Harvard for residency without ever studying a single 8-hour day. Most of my studying happened in short chunks of less than an hour at a time. Now I coach busy medical students, residents, fellows, and attendings through their board exams. And what I keep seeing is the same thing that I went through. Studying when you're busy is almost never about how much time that you actually have. Today, I'm gonna show you what it is about and how to build a system that fits your actual life. And later, I'm gonna show you the trick that let me clear months of backlog in just 3 days while working nights in the ICU. Okay, so if it's not about time and it's not about discipline, then what is it? It's how your day is set up. And for most people, their day is set up backwards. Here's what I mean. Study before work, not after. Have you ever gotten home after a long day and you know that you should study, but you're just really tired? And then you keep putting it off, like, oh, I'm gonna eat dinner first. Oh, I just need to relax for a few minutes. And then suddenly it's like 10 p.m. and you haven't even started. If you're like me, most of us just assume that studying has to happen after your workday. We get home, we eat, and then we study, right? That's just like what we're supposed to do. But by that point, our brain is already fried. Now, I'm an ADHD night person. I do my best work at night, usually. But what I found is that after a full day of classes or clinical work, even I, who usually does his best work at night, was completely useless. So I did the unthinkable, and I tried something that felt completely wrong to me. I started studying before I went to work or to class. How did I do that? I went to bed early and I woke up early. And I studied when my brain was actually fresh. And what I found was that that same hour that was producing almost nothing at 9 p.m. was completely different at 6 a.m. I'm coaching a fellow right now who literally has started doing this, and she said it has changed her life. She's going to bed at 9 p.m. and she's waking up at 5 a.m., even though her shift doesn't start until 8 a.m. This gives her about 2.5 hours of time to study before her day has even begun. Notice that this doesn't require more time. You're just literally moving the same hour or hours to a different slot in your day. The second thing you can do to study if you have no time is to use your commute as forced study time. Now here's where I did something that my wife thought was a little crazy. When I was a resident at Harvard MGH in Boston, I chose to live at Oak Grove. And now for those of you that know the Boston subway system, this is literally the farthest stop on the Orange Line from the hospital. I took the train from Oak Grove to North Station every single day, and then I walked to the hospital. This included the winter, and I was at that point very acclimated to California, and it was really cold. Now I could have made my commute about a third of the time. Like, I could have been one of those people that just lived down the street from the hospital, but I didn't. And the reason is that I knew that that commute would force me to study every single day. It was like about, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes of studying every single day, just one way. And I had no choice. There was literally nothing else for me to do on the subway. And in addition, as a nice bonus, because we were living so much farther away from the hospital, we got a much nicer apartment for less money. Yes, it's nice to save money. Frankly, I would have done it anyways because I was being strategic with forcing myself to literally study every single day and use that time productively. Even if it was only 20 minutes each way, 5 days a week over 6 months, that's like 80 hours of extra studying that just happened automatically. I didn't have to decide to do it. I was just on the train and I was studying. The next thing that you can do if you want to get more done in less time is to engineer your environment. Now, people see how much studying I have done and they assume that I must have incredible willpower and that I am lying about having ADHD and that I don't actually have a phone addiction. I have actually pretty bad ADHD, and I definitely have an addictive personality. I have very, very, very poor impulse control when it comes to digital distractions. And so because I knew this about myself, I literally just stopped relying on willpower and I just removed the option to fail and give in to all of these addictions. For example, during residency, I did not own a smartphone. I had a dumb phone and I had an iPod Touch. And that iPod Touch could run Anki, and that was pretty much it unless I was in the range of Wi-Fi. And so this, combined with the fact that I was on a subway that did not have Wi-Fi, meant that I couldn't use my email, I couldn't use Instagram, I couldn't check news, I couldn't do anything other than study. That was literally it. Now, I do have a smartphone, and I'm addicted to it, but I use an app called Freedom to brick my phone literally every night at 8:30 p.m. If you're a med student, a resident, a fellow, or an attending studying for your board exams, or to become board certified, be sure to sign up for a 14-step free program where we'll explain even more in detail how to improve your studying when you are studying full-time. In addition, you can also sign up for a call with our team where we can explain how we can help you to get more in less time so that you can pass your boards sooner rather than later. All of my distracting apps, like all of the video apps and all of the social media and all of the news and all of the shopping and everything, it just literally stops working. Because here's the thing, it's a lot easier to do something 100% of the time or never than it is to do it sometimes. In other words, if I let myself sometimes watch Netflix after 8:30, I will probably always watch Netflix after 8:30. But if I block it, I just can't do it. It's like I will be watching a show and then it'll be like, blocking my screen with this, green screen. And I'll be like, oh, okay, well, I guess I need to go to bed now. The same thing is true with your physical environment. And so if you study in a room where people are talking to you, you probably won't study either. So that fellow that I was coaching earlier that I was telling you about, she was trying to do her flashcards in the resident break room and she was constantly getting interrupted. So what did she do? Instead of eating in the break room, she just ate in the cafeteria and she just studied during that hour during her break. Remember, it's not discipline, it's environment engineering. So that's the first part. Set up your life so that studying happens without you having to force it. But now the question is, when you do sit down to study, how do you make 45 minutes worth what most people need 3 hours for? And later, I'm gonna tell you about a physician I was coaching who had this whole system working perfectly. She was scoring 90% on everything, and then she lost it all in 30 days. What she did to get it back is probably the most important part of this video, so be sure to stick around. So how do you make those 45 minutes count? Here's the problem. Right now, most of what you study is gone within a few weeks. Think about something that you studied a month ago. How much of it could you actually recall right now? If you're like most of us, probably not that much. Now, that's normal. That is literally how memory works. But here's what that means for you. Every hour that you spend studying something that you're gonna forget by test day is basically wasted time. And when you only have an hour a day, you can't afford to waste any of it. Now, there's a system that fixes this, and it's the reason that I have been able to pass 7 exams without ever studying a full day. The way that it works is simple. When you learn something, you make a quick flashcard, either on your phone or on the computer, and then the app shows it back to you right before you would normally forget it. The timing is automatic. The app is literally set up to use it's called spaced repetition algorithm, and you just open the app and review whatever comes up that day. Practically what spaced repetition means is that everything that you study, literally every hour that you put in, can stay in your head permanently. You're never relearning something that you've already studied. Every session actually is going to move you forward. Every hour that you study something you'll forget by test day is wasted time. This makes sure that nothing is wasted. I've been doing this for about 17 years, since my first year at Stanford Medical School, and everything that I've learned that was important, I turned into a flashcard, and I have been doing those flashcards. And the great thing is that, whereas like in the beginning, yeah, it's like there's a learning curve, and I ended up hating my life for a bit of time because I, set up my flashcards incorrectly and, a bunch of other mistakes. Every single month that I did it, as long as I wasn't adding a huge amount of new cards that I was learning new stuff in, it takes me less time to remember the things that I needed to remember every single year. And so now I've made over 28,000 flashcards, and it only takes me about 20 minutes every single day to make sure that I remember all of the information in those flashcards. Even if you're just starting, here's the part that matters most when you're busy. Your daily reviews can take you as little as 5 or 10 minutes. As long as you recognize that when you do this, you will never forget those things that you learn, there is no maximum to how much that you can learn. For most of us, especially when we're really busy, the problem is that the amount of knowledge that we are learning in a day is easily matched by the amount that we're forgetting. In other words, it's a leaky bucket problem where no matter how much we're pouring information in, and again, if you're not studying full time, you're probably not pouring that much information into your bucket in a given day, it's just leaking out and you can feel it. If you use spaced repetition, you can stop those leaks. You can literally just never forget the things that you're learning. And the key for doing this is just to make it non-negotiable that you do your flashcards every single day. So if you've got a busy day, if you've got a terrible day, it doesn't matter. Just do the reviews. And as long as you don't add a ton of flashcards every single day, and as long as you keep doing them, it doesn't have to take that much more than 15 minutes in a day. In addition to this, if you want to 10x the amount of things that you are able to recall, find the principle, not the fact. Now, when you start making cards, there's one thing that's going to determine whether this takes 15 minutes a day or an hour. And it comes down to what it is that you're putting in the flashcard. And I feel really, really passionate about this because I made this mistake like crazy. Now, most people, just like me, when they start doing things like Anki and spaced repetition, is that we make flashcards by memorizing individual facts. And this is pretty normal, right? Because we're used to the flashcards where it's like one card per fact. And then we end up with hundreds or thousands of flashcards that we've got to now review. But usually there's a principle underneath a whole group of facts. And if you learn that principle, one card can literally do the work of 10 or 20 or even 100 different flashcards. Let me show you what it looks like in my field. In medicine, which I coach, you could memorize, there's different kinds of clots. You know, there's like the clot in the brain that becomes a stroke, and there's a clot in the heart that happens when you get atrial fibrillation. There's a clot in the leg, right, that can go to the lungs, or there's a clot that you can get when you get a heart attack. Instead of memorizing all those different conditions and all those different drugs, you could just remember one principle. Arterial clots are driven by platelets, and so you would use a medication that blocks platelets. Venous clots, like for slower moving blood, like in your legs or something like that, those kinds of clots are known as the coagulation cascade. And so if you see a clot like that, you just have to use some kind of anticoagulation drug. So literally, this is like one card or maybe a few cards, and it will cover any kind of condition that you are seeing. Like, you just have to think, okay, well, is this an arterial clot or a venous clot? And then you just have to maybe make some cards on what are the different drugs that fit in the different categories of like antiplatelet drug, or is this an anticoagulation kind of drug? That's it, right? It's one principle. Same thing with vocab. You could memorize just words like orthodoxy or orthopedics or orthodontist. Or you could recognize that ortho just means correct or right, and then just kind of guess at what the different words mean. Like orthodontist, dont is teeth, right? So orthodontist is like correct teeth, which makes sense, right? Giving braces and things like that. Whatever you're studying, the same approach works. Don't memorize individual facts. Find the principle underneath them. Your reviews get shorter, and you can actually apply what it is that you know to questions that you've never seen before, which is honestly pretty cool. In addition, you will hate studying less and you will enjoy it a lot more. So, you know, those Netflix binge episodes that you want to do at, 9 p.m. will not be nearly as appealing because studying is actually going to be more fun. So now you've got this system, but I'd be lying if I told you that it never breaks, because let's be honest, you're busy and it probably will break. So here's what to do when it does. This is what I call the catch-up trip. I'm gonna tell you about the worst that I ever fell behind in my studying. I was working in the ICU. I was on nights. And at this point, before this, I had fallen behind on my flashcard reviews and like my studying by about 2 or 3 months. Now, before I used flashcards, I would have to just estimate like how far behind my studying was. But when you use a flashcard program like Anki, it will literally tell you how many flashcards you were behind on. And for me, I was behind by like 2,000 cards. And so every single time I opened up the application to study, I would just see this massive wall of overdue material that was just staring at me. And I felt super unmotivated. My life felt like a black hole. Like, I would have those 2,000 cards and I would do 200 cards, which was like kind of a lot of cards. And then I would go from 2,000 to 1,800 and I didn't feel like I had done anything. And it just felt like my life was this meaningless pit. So I did what anyone else would do in that situation, and I didn't study. I literally just avoided it. And every day the pile got bigger. Like, I don't know, maybe do like a card or two there, just like half-heartedly, but like it just kept growing. Now, here's the thing. The problem wasn't necessarily the backlog, the fact that I had it. The problem was the size of it made me freeze. It was triggering this fight or flight response where I literally just couldn't get myself to start, or if I was starting, I just couldn't get myself to sustain it. Now, this happens with anything. Like, if you've ever had 1,000 emails that you had to like go through, you're probably not going to go through them. Work projects, if you've ever had to clean like a super messy room, like you're probably just feel overwhelmed and you just didn't want to do it, right? The point is that when the pile gets big enough and whatever that thing is, you're just going to stop being able to look at it. So the trick is shrink what it is that you're looking at. So instead of facing the whole backlog, what I did, right, instead of looking at all 2,000 cards, I just set my daily limit to 200 cards. That's it. And suddenly what felt completely impossible now felt doable. And the cool thing is I would do those 200 cards and I would get it to 0 and I'd feel kind of good about myself. I'd be like, okay, now I'm gonna bump it up to 300 cards. And so now I would do 100 extra cards, and then I would do those, and then I would bump it up another 100, and I would do another 100 cards. And then every single time I did those 100 cards, I was like, yeah, I'm the man, like this is great. And in about 3 days, I was completely caught up. Now, note, this was months of backlog that was just completely gone. And I didn't have necessarily more time than it had before. The only thing that changed was that the number that I was looking at when I was opening the app was, instead of it being 2,000, it was only 200. Don't try to learn a lot of new material while you're trying to catch up. Just review what it is that you've already studied. Especially if you're doing something like Anki, it is much more important to make sure that you just plug the leaks in your bucket, right? And just don't forget the things that you've learned rather than trying to cram new things in. Although I totally get it. Everyone thinks like, oh, I just need to like learn more stuff. Literally, if you do the math, just not forgetting the things that you already know is a massive, massive, massive advantage. Don't look at the whole pile. Just set a small target and get that to 0. Then you can do more if you want. The other thing that happens after a rough stretch is that you try to jump back in where you left off. And sometimes you're gonna feel really crushed. So I was working with a doctor who had been away from studying for a while. And he came back and he was doing what was a pretty ambitious thing, which it was a mixed practice test, right? So there's 4 years worth of material and he's like, I'm just gonna do all of it. There's questions from every single topic all at once. And he scored a 40%. Now, I don't know about you, but 40% just takes the wind out of my sails. No one wants to sit down and study after they get a 40%. So what did he do? He just stopped studying again. When you have enough of these experiences where you're biting off a little bit more than maybe you could chew at a given time, it's really, really hard in subsequent attempts to try to get back on the horse and study. So my advice is to go back to just one specific subtopic. Like it's kind of the same principle, but just instead of studying all the things, just study one small thing. Do questions just on that one topic and try and get that score high before it is that you move on. If you've liked and subscribed and hit notifications, you probably have seen other videos where I talk about the 80% mastery method. You want to remember what it feels like when your studying actually works. Then you can go back to doing the questions. It's kind of like in a video game where, you get to the next level and you realize, oh my gosh, like my character is not leveled up enough to like, beat the boss or, whatever, beat that level in the video game. And then you go and you like need to level up first and then you can go back to the harder level. It's kind of like that, right? Like go back to the thing that actually feels doable and then do that thing more. And then later you can go back to doing the harder, mixed block of questions or whatever it is that you're struggling with, right? Get some wins first. The consistency comes back on its own once studying doesn't feel super terrible. Now, let me tell you a story about a doctor that I was working with who had this exact same thing happen to her. She had the system working perfectly. She was scoring actually 90% on her practice question. Her confidence was super high. She had never scored this high on any of her tests. She was on track for her board certification exams in internal medicine. Then she had a really brutal rotation. She was working in the cardiac ICU, which is super busy. So it was like 6 to 6, 7 admits a day. She was having to review intern notes until like 11 at night. And she didn't study for literally like 30 days. And so when we talked, she was devastated. She'd felt like, she just lost everything that she'd worked so hard for, but she hadn't. Her flashcards were still there. That knowledge that she'd built was still in the system. And again, because she had made it into flashcards, it was just something that she needed to review. So we did 3 things. 1, we set her reviews to a manageable number every single day. And so it was a lot easier for her to catch up. 2, she started waking up at 5 a.m. on her easier rotations to study before work, which in order to do that, she had to go to bed at 9 p.m. the night before. And then 3, she started doing her reviews on the subway instead of scrolling her phone. She didn't need to start over, she just needed to get back on track. Now, before I wrap up, let me answer the questions that I know some of you are asking. The first question I get often is, what if I've been behind for months? Is it too late? The answer is no. So the first thing that you need to remember is just like, it's not about being perfect, you just need to get something done. And in particular, what I would try to get done is make at least one good flashcard every single day and put that into Anki, and then make sure that you don't forget that flashcard by doing those old cards. Because again, if you're really, really busy, you don't have the luxury of being able to pour a lot of knowledge into your bucket, so to speak. What you can do though is just plug the holes in your bucket so that you never, ever, ever learn things that you put in. So even if you're learning just one new thing a day and you're just never forgetting that thing, if you have enough days, because usually when people aren't studying full time, they have a fair number of days until their test, right? Because if they had 2 weeks until their test, oftentimes people are studying full time. And so if you don't have a lot of hours in your day, then just make sure that you spend that little amount of time learning at least a little bit and just make sure that you never forget it. Second question is, what if I've tried this before and I keep falling off? To be honest, I think it's important to know that all of us fall off. And instead, I kind of try to think of it as like, this is a sign of how much farther I've come in my life, right? Think of when I was in medical school, if I had told myself 10 years before that I was going to be in medical school and I was going to be a doctor and I was studying for my exams, I would have been ecstatic. And in addition to that, I would have expected like, yeah, no, that is really hard. And so when I struggled, it wouldn't have been something that, was that strange or out of the ordinary. It's like, yeah, med school is hard. Of course this is hard, right? And so it's more of a sign of how much progress that I'd made rather than the sign of my, failing character, which, someone who had been really insecure and I felt like, I'm not good enough. And it was really easy for me to take every single time that I fell off and I didn't do all the studying that I wanted to do in a particular day as a sign of my own inadequacy. But in reality, it was just like, it's harder. If you're studying full time, that's a pretty hard thing to do. And that's pretty normal. And it says, it's a sign of just how far you've come. Study advice was designed for people with 8 hours a day. You probably don't have that. And frankly, you don't need it. I passed 7 exams studying in short chunks on subway trains and in hospital call rooms. Not because I'm disciplined, but because I set up a system that worked whether I like it or not. You're not lazy, you're not undisciplined, you just need a system that fits your actual life. Now, if you want to see the full study strategy, how to read questions, how to build knowledge, how to retain it, that's what I cover in this video right here. It explains how I went from thinking I was a bad test taker to scoring in the top 0.1% and one of the hardest exams in the world while I was at Stanford and then ultimately at Harvard for residency.